Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris with Van Off Grid. Unfortunately, this is going to be another cooking show and not an actual van video because it's another weekend and we are currently in another typhoon. For whatever reason, this is like the third one now in 3 weeks, and they only just like to come on the weekends. So, well, can't go anywhere, kind of stuck in the house, so at least what we can do is we can cook something, right? So today I'm breaking out my heavy-duty iron pots, and we're gonna make a Cajun Creole Jambalaya. And for those of you who may not know, I'm actually Cajun from Louisiana. You know, where my great-grandparents and grandparents, they all migrated from France, from a town called Acadian, and in south central Louisiana there's an area near Lafayette that's called Acadiana, and that just gives homage to the settlers that came from France, you know, years ago. But anyway, so but I'm here in Okinawa, and you know, this weather is just sometimes it's kind of frustrating. You know, it's a beautiful place, but the timing of the typhoons, they just seem to like to come only on the weekends. And this has happened before a few years ago, but well, I guess we won't get too discouraged. We can still eat well, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a roux. I don't have dark browning sauce and some ingredients because, you know, I'm on an island. So what I'm gonna do is I'll go ahead and make my own roux, which later I'll show you guys in another video. I do chicken and sausage gumbo and other Cajun dishes, but I'm gonna make my own roux first. That's gonna be my browning, sort of like a browning sauce and a thickener, and that takes about 40 minutes. I'm not going to film the whole thing. I'll just kind of show you guys what I do real quick, and then you know, I'll just be stirring for 40 minutes off camera. And then we're going to go ahead with sausage, pure pork sausage, chicken, and I'm going to put in a little bit of diced tomato. What makes it Creole, which is the New Orleans side of Louisiana, which has more of a Haitian flavor to it, I guess. Creole is more jambalaya with the tomatoes in it. Diced tomato, tomato sauce, tomato paste, and more of a reddish color. Cajun jambalaya doesn't have any tomatoes whatsoever. It's just chicken, sausage, and rice, and kind of cooked on a heavy-duty iron pot. And you know, anyway, it's a little bit different. So, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put in a can of cream of mushroom soup, some chicken broth, chicken, sausage, my own Cajun spice blend that I make. It's kind of my secret blend, and you know, tomatoes and garlic, onion, bell pepper, and so on. So anyway, let's go ahead, let's move on to the roux. Like I said, it's a 40-minute job. I'm not going to film it the whole thing, but anyway, I'll show you guys how to do that. All right, for the roux, we're going to do 1 cup of flour. All right, here we go. Half cup of oil, 1 cup of flour, and we'll see how that goes. If it's too thick, I can add a little bit more oil to it and kind of thin it out. So now we're gonna, you don't want the pan to be hot when you do this. You want it to be just room temperature. Mix it up with a whisk, and that's it. 40 minutes, low fire, low to medium fire. Just let it kind of bubble and blow, and you have to stir it constantly. All right, here's what it looks like right here. It's just mixed. I got the fire on. Now we're gonna just slowly cook this. You have to constantly keep moving it. It will burn. If you burn it, it'll get a burn smell and taste to it, and it'll just make your food taste really bad. So once it gets really hot, I'm going to put a little bit of a pinch of salt in there, but this is it. All right, so we got a little bit of a bubble going here. It's up to temperature. Just threw in a pinch of salt. Now, although it's white right now, kind of a cream color because it's flour and oil, it's gonna slowly brown up, but you don't want to overdo it. You just want to keep it nice and slow. And actually, my fire is probably a little too hot right there. I'm gonna have to turn it down. Cooking with iron gets really hot, and you can actually kind of easily overdo your dish. Well, here's a view here on my balcony. As you can see, the ocean's terrible. It's windy, cloudy. It's like mist and rain. Just bad weather all the way around. It rained all night. It was windy. I didn't sleep well. Anyway, the typhoon finally moved north of us. Now it's several hundred miles away, but we're still getting the kickbacks of the wind here in the outer bands. This is what it looks like so far. We're 20 minutes out. Starting to get a nice brown color to it. 10 more minutes. Starting to get a nice brown color. See how it's kind of sticking on the bottom there? It's thicker on the bottom. The flour is starting to brown up now. Very nicely. So keep moving it around. You don't want it to stay any length of time because it will burn. Just keep moving it around. So I just turned the fire up a tad bit higher to just add the final dark brown touch to it in temperature. You don't want to bring it up too hot too fast, because if you burn it, you know, you can't go 40 minutes with it after it's already this dark. Say, like if you got it like this in the first 10 minutes, then your fire's way too hot and it's just gonna burn. So this is nice, looking great, smells amazing. So, all right, we are about 40 minutes. That is a nice color. This is perfect for most standards of anything. I want to go a little bit darker with it, but yeah, this would just make the perfect color gumbo. Just really nice. The texture of it's nice and smooth. I like to use a whisk, and I know some people would rather use a spoon. I just feel like the thinness of the wire sort of slices through it and keeps it mixed up nice, instead of a spoon that just moves, you know, large amounts of it at once. I like to sort of slice through it. But yeah, this is a really nice color. Alright, got the chicken all cut up, got my spice made here. I love my mortar and pestle. I use this so much. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion salt, paprika. I got a little bit of chili powder in there, but you know, I'm generous when I spice food, as you guys probably saw. I'm not scared to put some spice in the food. I want this to kind of stick to the meat as well as stick to the bottom of the pan of the pot. As soon as we put the chicken in, the pot will be smoking hot, and that will make all of the spice caramelize onto the meat, and then some of it will fall off and it'll stick to the bottom of the pot, and that's going to make what we call grillades. So, but that's what we want. We want to make what's called grillades. That's the stuff that kind of gets burnt and stuck to the bottom of the pot. And basically, once you put water on that, that's going to release off and make a nice brown jus, which is a dark gravy. And then once you put in all your other ingredients, that gravy will just import itself into everything. So a lot of spice in the beginning is actually important. And I know a lot of people think Cajun food is spicy, and it kind of is, but you know, a lot of the spice is going to come off of the food into the actual dish, and it'll import itself into other places. So it's not like, it's like what I just put on the chicken here is going to be overpowering, you know, spicy. It's not going to be that way, although it looks like it, like I maybe overspiced it to some folks. But anyway, that's just the way we go. All right, chicken. Brown stuff on the bottom there, that's what we want. Brown chicken up nice. So next we're going to go ahead and put in our ham. We have, this is called tasso. It's smoked and salted cured ham, and it's just going to give a nice smoky flavor to it. All right, next we got some good sausage here. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in with the ham, brown it up real quick, and then we'll remove it. Then we'll go ahead and put in the vegetables. All right, coming back to the roux real quick. As you can see, it looks liquidy. That's the oil will float up, and it'll get real thick. If you guys can see that, it'll get real thick under the oil. So what we want to do now is, once you do your roux, you just let it sit up and rest for a minute and cool down. Now we're going to pour the oil off, and we're going to end up with just a thick roux mixture. All right, yep, nothing like a ice cold mug. and an ice cold beer, because you know us Cajuns, I know how we do it. Well, while the sausage and tasso is in there, just simmering down, making its own natural gravy, you know, cheers. Nothing like a nice cold beer while you're sitting here in a typhoon on a tropical island, cooking a nice hometown meal, you know, and having a great ice cold Japanese beer. Cheers, everybody. So I want to talk a little bit for a minute about why we cook so long in Louisiana. You know, it's not like a 10-minute meals by any stretch. One thing is, like, for example, if you take an onion, you drop it in a pot, you cook it for 5 minutes, it'll be translucent, it'll be, you know, kind of juicy, kind of softened. But if you cook it for 2 hours, it'll actually melt off and dissolve, and all of the taste of that onion will just dissolve out into the liquid, and it will make its own taste. That's like an onion-based soup. Vice just blanching onions in a pot, and then, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but so I guess what I'm trying to say is the longer you cook food, the food will transform into different consistencies, and as it breaks down from just heat over time, there's different flavors that are generated. And so, like, cooking something for 10 minutes, it's going to taste completely different than if you cook it for 30 minutes. Yet again, it will be completely different if you cook it for an hour and if you keep on going. So basically, we like to cook where things just completely break down and all the inner flavorings of the food actually comes out into the gravy. And then that just gets absorbed with the rice and other food, and it all melds and blends. And then it creates a flavor that you can only achieve after several hours of cooking or 2 hours of cooking that you're never going to achieve if you just cooked it for 20 or 30 minutes. So, you know, and we don't like to rush. It's Sunday, I'm off, like I said, you know, the weather's bad, so it's the perfect time to just sit here and enjoy having a cold beer and just making up a great Cajun dish. Alright, so I just put a spoon of my roux in there. See how it's like real nice and dark and thick. Put some onion and bell pepper in there. Put some garlic in there in a second. And you can see how it's nice and thick on the bottom. So as soon as I put a little bit of water in there, that's going to release off the bottom and make this nice, thick jus. Alright. So you can see I just put a little bit of water in there. Look how pretty that is. So that's our jus right there. And that's going to give our jambalaya a nice, pretty dark color. So now we're going to go ahead and just blanch this down. I'm going to put the garlic in just a second. Alright, the garlic is in there. Look at that, just simmering down. It smells so good. Now we're going to put back all of that. And then we're going to grab our chicken. Put the chicken in there. Now we're going to go ahead and cover that up with some chicken stock and the tomatoes, tomato paste, a small can of tomato sauce, just a little 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, a little bit of paste just in case if I put a little bit too much liquid in it, and the cream of mushroom will come in last, just right before we put the rice, a little bit later. Alright, chicken broth, diced tomatoes, and a can of tomato sauce in there. No water really, and that color is just amazing. That is just the perfect color. And now if I didn't make the roux and put it in there, it would still be just as good, but the color would be very light. And I want this dark color with that homemade roux taste in it, and this is gonna just get soaked up by the rice. And so last, I'm gonna let this boil for a minute, and when we put the cream of mushroom soup, what that does is it's not going to add more liquid. It's just going to kind of dissolve out and make the rice very hydrated and smooth, like a smooth kind of a buttery texture on it. the rice won't dehydrate really even after a couple days in the refrigerator, as well as the great taste of cream of mushroom soup. And that's the only reason why I'm going to use that. If not, it's okay, you don't need to use it, but like I said, the rice will eventually just get hard and dehydrate, especially the next day, and it'll be more dry. So this is just going to keep it just a nice and hydrated, smooth texture to it. Alright, we just added in the can of cream of mushroom soup right here. And we're going to just stir this in, let that melt, kind of dissolve out in there. And then we're going to go ahead and add the rice, and that's it. I'm going to let this go for about 5 minutes. I want it to be just very dissolved and kind of give it a minute to blend in with everything else. Take it up to the full temperature of the actual gravy right here. Throw in some rice. So I went with a little more than 2 cups. You should do, 2 to 1 on the mixer or blend of rice to water or liquid. The chicken broth was 4 cups, so if I did just 2 cups of rice, the tomatoes have a lot of water in it, and that actually makes the liquid more than 4 cups. It's probably more like 4.5. So I went with a little bit more rice just to kind of help it out, blend that out. So now we're gonna just let this do its magic. Alright, let's go ahead and take it off. We have reached that moment. There you go. It's like 10 pounds of goodness right there. Let me stir that up for a second. The consistency. It's nice and creamy. Now, I don't have long grain rice because I'm in Japan. We don't really have long grain rice here. The rice is different. Well, the microphone's probably going to be too just wind noise, but anyway, it is what it is. Another weekend, another typhoon. You can just see the waves down there just blowing over the wall. We're in 50-mile-an-hour winds right now. The typhoon's moved probably a solid 500 miles north. But yeah. Well, there it is. Many hours of cooking. This is a masterpiece. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I encourage you guys to try this. You almost can't mess it up. Just do what I do and it will come out perfect every time. Until then, you guys take care out there, and we'll see you on the next one.